Now, notice the last one doesn't go green unless we get it correct. Actually, let's get it correct and see them all going green. So we're going to go tenderometer, televrometer, tablature, and tachophrasia. And there we go, they've all gone green. I don't want to keep them green, I want them to disappear. I want them to all go green and then maybe blink out of existence, I think is what I'm going to do. But I also want them to go red and blink before, after a strike, before they reset to white. So to do that, I'm going to do the strike. I am going to show you this IEnumerator, but again, this is an advanced tutorial, so again, I might just whiz through it a little bit faster. Instead of going to the start method, I'm going to go to a method I'm going to call, an IEnumerator rather, that I'm going to call strike. So IEnumerator, not a void, strike, and again we want the parentheses to show that it's a method type. And the first thing I always do in this is yield return new wait for seconds 0.1f. What this essentially does is it means if you don't return, then it can't escape from the IEnumerator and it won't compile properly. This is, as you might imagine, wait for seconds, and that is a time 0.1. We put f because we're not talking about whole numbers. If I was going just for 1 second, I think I might still have to put f. F stands for floating point value anyway. So now I know that will compile. And you'd think you might just go like that to get to the IEnumerator like you do with a void, but actually you have to do it in a slightly different way. You have to go start coroutine, open parentheses, strike, open parentheses again, and then close a double set. This start is now going to come down here. So what I'm just going to show you briefly is just how this coroutine is going to work in its most basic format. I'm going to put 2 seconds here. So now when we strike, instead of going straight back to the start method, it's going to go into here, it's going to pause for 2 seconds and then return to the start. So that will look like this. So Tectosphere, okay, so it's going to be wrong if we go this way, pause, and then go back to the start. So that's what a coroutine does, an IEnumerator. Again, I've just whizzed through that because this is supposed to be a beginner tutorial, and I wouldn't advocate that beginners start on IEnumerators, but I'm going to put it in here anyway, A, because I want to put one in on this code, and B, because if you've got a bit more knowledge but you want brushing up on IEnumerators, this might be helpful. Or if you've absorbed everything I've done and you really want to get to the next step, then it'll be here for you to unpick when this goes up on YouTube. Okay, so let's make it a slightly more interesting coroutine than it currently is. Let's go 0.1, because we only want a very brief delay at the start. I'm going to create a new integer here. Int, I'll call it flash equals 0. Now we're going to create a while loop. While flash is less than 10, which means it's going to do this until flash reaches 10. Now at the moment, flash is never going to reach 10, but if we go flash plus 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 plus, that means every time it goes through here, it's going to increase flash by 1. But at the moment that's going to happen instantly because there's nothing to get it to pause. But if we put that in there, maybe at 0.2, it's now going to go through this flash thing 10 times, because it's going to increase flash every time, pausing for 2 seconds. Now what we want to do is something either side of this 0.2 seconds. We want to go, where was it? Yeah. Oh no, we'll get the, actually we're going to do a for each here. So for each text mesh, and we're going to call it text, we'll call it word in words text. So this is going to loop as many times as there are entries in this array, which is 4. Because we want to do the same thing to all of them. Word dot color equals font colors 2, and then we're going to copy that again and go white, like that. So what this is going to do, is going to create this new integer. While it's less than 10, it's going to go through here, and it's going to take each of those texts, turn them red, wait for 0.2 seconds, turn them white, and then do it again. It's going to do that 10 times, and then bust out to the start menu. So hopefully this will give us a flashing effect when we get a strike. I've missed some semicolons out, one there, and one there. Oh. Ah, and there's my problem, spelling colour in the British way. See what I mean about making errors and being consistent or inconsistent? There we go. So now if we get it wrong, autocorrect, so it's not in the right, so we just go bong, 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 bong. Okay, that didn't quite have the desired effect. Now, why is that? Ah, that's because I need to wait at the end as well. Because otherwise it's going to wait there and then immediately go back to it, so we're not actually ever going to see it go white. So we need to pause in between each flash. So let's go on that one, that one. Now for me that flash is a little bit slow. So we're going to actually decrease it. That might be a little bit slow. Let's go down by half again and see what we get. That's a bit better. Now I'm thinking, actually, I would like a fourth one because I'd like them to flash between red and invisible rather than between pick. Why is this? I really don't understand why it's not letting me bring up the palette selection. Oh, it's done it now. If I get it to flicker between red and black rather than between red and white, we don't just have to set that to font colors 3. And let's get them wrong. Oh, changed the wrong one. I want to go red and then black rather than white and then black. Try one more time. I think that looks quite neat. Yeah, I like that. Now we can get it to do the same basic effect when we get it right as well. So I'm going to basically repeat the same thing, except instead of starting the coroutine called Stripe, we're going to start coroutine solve, and we'll pop this above it because it comes before it. Code IEnumerator solve, and this is going to be basically the same coroutine as what we've got down here, except it's not going to go back to the start menu. I might get it to flash a little bit longer with to 15, and we can put some sound effects in with this as well, which I'll do in a minute. Now 2 was red and 3 was black, so we're going to go to green and black, and then at the end of it I want to switch all of those selectables off. I want to get rid of them completely. Now there's a few different ways of doing this. The way I'm going to do it is just go public game object disable words, which is going to be this one here, because that's going to capture everything that is inside. A game object basically refers to any object that you can just do basic functionality with. So I've referred to it as the one with all the buttons on, so it's going to disable them completely. So not only will you not be able to click them because of the return function that I mentioned earlier on, but they're going to physically disappear from the module. So once that flash is done, I'm going to go disable words dot in set active false. You could also do dot enabled equals false, would come up with the same thing, but set active is my preferred method there. So now, when we get it wrong, we're going to get a all green, red flash on black, all green, red flash on black. Now, this is where you need to start doing bug hunting. I've clicked it there because to see what would happen if you click it when it's flashing. And I've run out of stuff and broken my thing. So we need to put something in that when it's flashing and these coroutines are going on, it locks it. Otherwise it's going to get very confused because it's going to start trying to add stuff to the list and we're not going to get anywhere. So we'll add something in here. If module solved or flashing, we'll put. I'm going to create this bool up at the top. Private bool flashing. And this is what I meant about bools being really handy for locking things on and off. As soon as we've pressed the button and we've gone through this flashing bit here, we're going to set flashing to true. So now if we try and press it again, it's not going to work. The other thing I need to consider is if you've already pressed a button, what's going to happen? Because I haven't thought about that yet, and I'm going to do that in just a second. But first of all, I'm going to make sure we turn flashing off again. And turn flashing off there as well. We'll do that after we've disabled them. So there's absolutely no chance of anything happening. So that should now have gotten rid of that issue where if I click it while it's flashing, no, I put flashing in the wrong place. We don't want flashing to be there because otherwise we can only click one of them. We want it to go here, right just before the coroutine starts. If we put it right at the top, then we're going to lose, we're not going to be able to get in and access any of the other buttons, but we do it right before the coroutine starts. Oh, that one's actually in the right order already, so let's go that way. So if I click it now, nothing happens, which is exactly what we want. Now if we do it in the right order, tablature, taphogenesis, taphophobia, and tectosphere. So it flashes for a little bit longer, and then they vanish. And so you can't even actually click them anymore. They've gone, which is great.